It's Twilight time for Twilight Time. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Entrepreneur, and welcome to my media/vlogging channel. And I got some news a couple days ago that I'm definitely mixed about. But Twilight Time, the DVD/Blu-ray brand that picked up classic films, some art house stuff, some horror classics that had not been released on high definition, is shutting down. Now, for those of you who wonder what this company was, they would release Blu-rays and DVDs like this, and they would usually clean up the picture. They put a little booklet. It wasn't anything, a fancy booklet, but it was something. And they would always come in limited editions of 3,000 units. And they had a small but dedicated following. It wasn't quite as fancy as the Criterion Collection, but it is a step above Kino Labor. Unfortunately, it looks like they're not going to be releasing any more titles, and in fact will be discounting all the titles they have in stock. According to the official website, and this is how the letter goes, after 9 years of successful operations in which 380 motion pictures from the 1930s to the 2010s have been released on DVD and Blu-ray disc, the home video label Twilight Time, founded by veteran Hollywood studio executives and filmmakers Brian Jameson and the late dearly celebrated Nick Redman, will not release any further titles, and we will be winding down operations this summer. A changing market, the rising cost of title acquisitions, and the passing of longtime partner and company spokesman Nick Redman are key reasons for the closure. As part of our winding down process, there will be a one-time reduction in prices to $3.99, $4.45, $6.95, and $11.95 as of Monday, May 11th at www.twilighttimemovies.com. Cinemagistics/twilighttimemovies.com will continue to sell titles while available through June 30th, at which time they and Twilight Time will cease operations. Remaining inventory will be acquired and distributed exclusively by Screen Archives effective July 1st, 2020. When launched in 2011, Twilight Time pioneered the concept of bringing rare and distinctive films of all genres to the marketplace in 3,000-unit limited editions, which I think ultimately hurt them. I'll explain why. Exclusively available at two website destinations, Screen Archives Entertainment and later Twilight Time Movies. This allowed devoted movie fans to obtain physical copies of highly desired titles which did not command shelf space at local brick-and-mortar stores. Nick aptly named the venture Twilight Time because eventually the concept of film as physical goods would have a sell-by date possibly sooner rather than later. Nick once said, "At the onset, we never envisioned we would be around for nearly a decade before it was time for the sun to set on the company." During that time, the Twilight Time catalog has included fabled films from the libraries of 20th Century Fox, Sony Pictures, MGM, United Artists, Universal Studios, Film 4, Protagonist Pictures, Toei Company, and other entries, and showcased many Academy Award and International Prize winning titles, like this one. Thanks to Nick Redman's 30-plus years as an award-winning film music historian and preservationist, most releases have included synchronized isolated music or music and effects tracks that provided a rare platform for the lauded and unsung composers so vital to the filmmaking process. Many offerings also provided informative audio commentary tracks involving co-founder Redman and a host of internationally noted film historians that expertly contextualized and enhanced the viewing experience. From the beginning, the core Twilight Time players, essayist and commentary contributor Julie Kurgo, packaging designer Louis Falzerano, soundtrack editor and music historian Mike Battistino, the disc authorizing supervisor Jeff Jewett, and our project coordinator Mike Finnegan have played essential and best-in-class roles in this unique venture. We also want to recognize the extraordinary help of our distribution and marketing partners at Screen Archives and Twilight Time Movies. Most importantly, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you, the appreciative film collector. You have supported us throughout the marvelous journey and will hopefully continue to do so while these one-of-a-kind limited-run titles are still accessible to you. We couldn't have done it without you, our loyal customers. Now, why do I think Twilight Time ultimately went under? Well, for a couple of reasons. First of all, they weren't cheap. I mean, they would sell for the retail price, about $30, sometimes $35 if it included like a 3D disc or something in there. That was number one, and people are just notoriously cheap. I mean, it's hard to get people to go back to paying retail price for movies once they've been paying a lot less for years. Also, yes, streaming probably did devalue some of this. Granted, I will say most of the movies that they got were not available on streaming sites, and that was one of the draws of the format. Or, not the format, the collection, I should say. But I think the thing that really probably bit them the most was the 3,000 copy count. I don't think that was ultimately a great selling point. Because what it was supposed to do is it was supposed to encourage people to go and spend a lot of money on a disc that only had 3,000 copies. But here's the problem. Some of these titles were not niche titles. For example, one of them was Steel Magnolias, and one was Philadelphia. Another was As Good as It Gets. These are not movies that you charge $30 for the movie. You charge $10 or $15 because it's a mainstream movie and the mainstream would buy it at that price. What's more, these titles aren't in brick and mortar stores. They're only for collectors. But does a collector want to buy Steel Magnolias or, heck, even Dr. Dolittle? More often than not, no, they do not. And so they sit there. And as a result, it's kind of like almost a real shame to be part of the Twilight Time collection because they spend this huge fee to make a physical copy and they can't even sell 3,000 copies unless they heavily discount it. But then you had the opposite problem. There were some titles that had way more than 3,000 people who wanted to buy it, and those titles would sell out really fast. Also, a lot of copies to scalpers who would then take the discs and sell them for a heck of a lot more. By limiting them to 3,000 copies, that means when you had a hit successful title, you couldn't sell any more of them. And so as a result, the scalpers were making the money off the movie, not Twilight Time. And then on a final note, it should be noted that most of these movies did have DVD releases at one point, and there were tons of special features on those DVDs. And what they're doing now is, yes, they are offering a movie that looks and sounds a heck of a lot better. However, there's usually no special features on there, so they're asking to pay more money for a disc that has less than what they already own. That is a recipe for disaster. Also, for some reason, many of these titles were in mono, not 5.1. So here's the thing. I own several Twilight Time movies. I was definitely glad that they were releasing 3D movies. Every time they released a 3D movie, I would buy it. I did get Best Picture winners, Oliver and A Man for All Seasons, and they released several Best Picture winners, so it's like I could get those on Blu-ray as well. But they didn't have all the bells and whistles. They were made in such limited quantities, it became a nightmare to buy them because by the time I even knew they existed, hundreds of titles were already out of print. And they weren't numbered or anything, so it's not like there was an incentive to have the whole collection. So, yeah, I could buy Sexy Beast for $30 if I really like that movie. But guess what? It's not numbered or anything. It's just less than 3,000. They didn't even individually number the 3,000 copies, which probably would have gone a long way to helping really up the ante for the collector's editions. I mean, like I said, it was a step below Criterion, a step above Kino Labor, but had it been more online with what Criterion Collection is doing with their movies, I think we wouldn't be getting this little goodbye notice. But hey, here's the good news. They are discounting a lot of the titles. I'm going to be picking up a boatload of them. Whatever still available, any Woody Allen movies, I'm going to pick them up. And so we're going to get some good movies at a cheap price, but I would have preferred they kept the line going, of course, because I can't think of another company who would release the Harlock movie in 3D from Toei Animation. That was pretty amazing. But, hey, that's how it works sometimes. What do you folks think? Are you disappointed that Twilight Time is setting in the sun in the twilight? Are you unhappy? Do you think this could have gone on? What do you think? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.